Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. The title of today's stream, Stocks and Crypto Green, do we trust it? That's the multi-billion, maybe even multi-trillion dollar question. Do we trust it? Well, I kind of trust it, honestly, at least locally here. I'll be honest. I do trust it. We've been watching very, very closely all week, uh, sort of this local range or consolidation attempt to form at a very, very critical level. So I won't go as far to say that the imminent face melting bull market is back, but I will go as far to say, and my tone has remained consistent all week, I do think that we are due for some much needed and much deserved relief after a very, very rocky start to the year. Now, maybe that only means a rally back up to local range high, right? Maybe Tucker could zoom in here, navigate to kind of a local range high view, but we're looking pretty good here locally today. We're starting to see the bulls really try to capitalize on that range low sweep, right? We really are. So it wouldn't surprise me to see us kind of churn our way back up in some way, shape, or form into the range high. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. We got a full panel today. We got Big Country Tucker. We got Louis Meatstick. And we got Wabi, PhD and Director of Phonology, joining us today as well. It's his official title now. Guys, what are we seeing out there? How are we feeling? I'm going to have everybody answer the question here, but be specific on your time frame, okay? The title of today's stream is Stocks and Crypto Green. Do we trust it? Let's start with Tucker, just because I'm looking here on my screen. Tucker's at the top, then Louis, then Wabi. We're just going to go down the list here. Do we trust it?
What do you want, a one-word answer? Can I be
You can
nuanced?
Whatever you would like, honestly, whatever you'd like.
I mean, I'll trust it. I'll trust it for for up to maybe here. That's the extent to which I'll trust it. That's the extent. But past that, then no. So, but I'll trust it. I'll trust it up to at least 90s. Probably a sweep of the high, like you said. But beyond that, I can't trust it quite yet.
You go to like the 4 hour for me.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the 4 hour. I mean, it looks a little sandy.
It does. It does. It looks clean. It looks real clean. Let's see.
I trust it locally here, man. I do. I trust it locally for now, right? For now.
Yeah.
I mean, we were looking at stocks so oversold, so battered, so bruised, We were looking at Bitcoin pulled back from the high 30%, ETH down 50%, 50 minus 50% quarterly retracement. I mean, what are we really expecting? Like COVID? Like
No, not expecting COVID. Not expecting COVID. Yeah, let me pull up stocks real quick because
we've already got our COVID, but it's just been in slow motion.
Yeah. Okay, wait. There we go. No. How do I do this?
No, this is only crypto, bro.
Oh, I can't do it on here. Damn.
No.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay. Here we go.
See that it's like you get to a point here where it's like you expect some, even if you're expecting lower, you're gonna get a technical bounce. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, you're gonna bounce to like right here, probably 57.75, somewhere like that.
Yeah. I think yesterday was kind of crushing for a lot of people because it looked like the S&P literally was just going to roll over and keep going. And now we're seeing the bounce. So that makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been expecting a bounce for a little bit now. But yeah, this thing came pretty deep.
Yeah. That's where I want to see it bounce to, for sure. Yeah, I think this whole area right here on the S&P is gonna be kind of sticky, most likely. Kind of hard to get through, but like these are your two areas on the S&P for sure. So clean it up a little bit. That's where we're gonna most likely bounce from, like we are the 161A. So
Yeah, and I mean it's one of those things where you know,
yeah,
typically stocks will pull back, 10 or 15%, right? And that's a pretty aggressive, like we'll call it intra-cycle correction, right? Where you're not entering a multi-year bear market or fundamentally driven pullback. It's more of like a technically induced one. 10, 12, maybe 15% across the board. Some individuals, even some mega cap, will pull back 20 to 30%, but the index 10, 12, 13, 15, whatever. Typically, unless you're entering a multi-year correction, like what happened in, late 2021, 2022, when we entered the fastest tightening cycle, what happened, was 20%, 30% correction for the indexes. If you're not going to enter an environment like that, you typically want to shove the 10 to 15% drop, right? That's typically yielded some pretty juicy results, at least for equities, right? Crypto's a whole other story. Guys, we're green. Wake up. I'm going to tase you guys. I'm going to jolt you through the screen. Come on. We're green today.
I was
Bring some
waiting.
energy.
Louis, what are we seeing, brother? What are we seeing?
I was waiting to give my
Go get
answer.
some coffee, throwing us in, do what you got to do. Come on now. I'm talking to the camera. No one's saying anything. We're green today.
I was waiting to give my answer.
I thought we were going in alphabetical order or something.
Yeah.
Dude,
Alphabetical.
everyone's
Max,
a zombie right now. I don't know
Max,
what's
you're the
going on.
commentator. You're supposed to say, okay, Louis, now what do you think?
Do you want
about
the
this
price
move?
to nuke and then we'll get the energy? What do you want?
You're supposed to ask me if I trust this move.
All right, Louis,
you
do you
were
trust the
waiting
move?
Big trust.
Trust.
Big trust.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially like you guys say, locally, yeah. I mean, something I've been expecting for and watching and monitoring the past week or two. We're due, right? We're due for some sort of relief. What happens after that, we'll have to calculate and see. But the markets have been beaten down, battered. Sentiment has fully been flopped the other way, which is the bear way. And when you get too many people on one side, you see some mean reversion at a minimum. So we're seeing that. But yeah, something I've been watching for, expecting for, positioning for. Did some more buying yesterday at lower levels, and those are sitting in nice profits today. So we'll see. But yeah, I think we're due for equities. Yes, 100%. Bitcoin, ETH as well. Yeah. But we'll see once we start coming into the key levels, which for Bitcoin is that range low, right? Your 92K level. We pretty much have two kind of attempts at getting back inside the range have been harshly rejected, right? But we've also been failing to break down lower than 77K. It's the second time we came into this level and kind of bounced. So kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place here, resistance supply above and support below. So locally, yes, this makes sense to me. But once we get a nice rally out of Bitcoin, ETH, and altcoins, see some relief, what happens after that is the most important, right? We can see big bounces across the board. But what's more important than that is where we kind of stick the landing, right? We start seeing alts and ETH start reclaiming some key levels and gaining price acceptance back above those key levels. we're in a situation where we could, we could be seeing, a swing back to the upside for crypto and alts. So I'm liking the move. I'm trusting the move, and I've been positioning for this. So happy to finally see it come, but let's see where it takes us, and let's see what happens after that.
He trusts it, ladies and gentlemen. He trusts it. He's a believer. All right. Now, against Marcus's wishes, to mute Wabi and to muzzle him. Wabi, do you trust it locally?
I could share my screen, but I don't use fancy tools on TradingView like you guys. But I would say
these fancy tools here. This is just the BB terminal, brother. I mean, it's fancy, but it's very friendly. Beginner, intermediate, advanced.
Tucker, are you the one controlling the screen right now?
I am.
What do you need? Just pull out the 4-hour and then pull out just pull out the EMA. Just pull out the basic EMA cross indicator. Just put out and then go on the 4-hour. All right.
Which EMAs though do you want?
Just that one's fine. That one's fine. But EMA's not. EMA 9 is fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
9 and EMA enjoyer, Wabi?
Yep, that's the main thing that I use. So the first thing that I want to see reclaimed is 86K, right? That's kind of like the lower end of the range, and then the mid range would be 90K, and the upper range would be the yearly open at 93,000, right? Once we get that, that would give me more confidence for majors to move up. It would give me confidence that Solana would reclaim 150. And the yearly open is basically our friend, right? Especially for indices. We want the indices to reclaim the yearly open. Once we have that, we can consider that an actual, good move for some mean reversion to the upper range. Which
how are you drawing this range, Wabi? All right, give me those numbers again, because I need to.
All right, so lower end of the range would be 77K, all the way to 85, right? That would be like your lower range, and then mid range would be 85 all the way to 94. Now your upper range would be 94 to close up to just under 100. So 3 ranges right there.
Yeah, I'm just not even gonna try to draw this. You're just describing ranges differently than.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I think the range low is pretty obvious. It was that capitulation low.
So
you could just make a range quick on this. Set up a fib. I mean, yeah, you could do that. That's fine. Range high is the Trump pump candle, right? Yeah, right there. Like that's
basically even you could go from.
Yeah, it's basically the previous range. That's your range, in my opinion. But I mean, I guess there's multiple ways to define it. But I feel pretty confident in saying that's the range, because of the deviation that we had. I was at the 10th or the 11th right there. That to me feels like your range as of right now.
Yeah, for BTC, right? I do consider that a completely different asset than altcoins. Altcoins still have a lot of work to do, and once equities flip the yearly open, hey man, I hope that was the bottom. I really do. I'd rather flip full bull instead of being cautious. I want things to heat up on chain again, even though I still remain cautious. It's perfectly fine. New runners will come out. On chain will be frothy again, and we'll run it back, right? So equities, I was talking to Tucker yesterday. They actually had the same drawdown as they had from August of 23 all the way to late October. S&P pulled back about 10%. NASDAQ pulled out close to 14%. So a little lower than that, you start getting into some dangerous territory. I still think we do have a chance of testing like 5,400, 5,100 tops. But again, I'm not short anything. I don't short equities. I don't short crypto. And if we do go full bull again, I'll just go back on chain, play some names, play some new alts, and that's it. Most people don't even actually like trade BTC or ETH or SOL. They play a variety of altcoins, and it's essentially the first like actual balance that we've had since that Trump pump, right? And we're still lower than last week, like when I came here on Friday. So for things like ETH, I would want to see like 2,200, 2,300 reclaimed. We're still under 2K. And for BTC, as we saw last year, as we saw the year before, we can be in a range for a long time. And BTC dominance can continue to go up. Majors can continue to chop downwards. And, once again, like I consider my edge with newer alts, on-chain alts, and just alts in general, to be honest. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. Really, I'd want to see some strength from names like Sui as well. We saw Hyperliquid earlier this morning catch somewhat of a bid. And if we are going to go into that next upswing, we need to see a new L1 catch some breadth and lead the market. Kind of like in 23, in Q3, Sol led the rally. Last year in Q3, Sui led the rally. And I am enthusiastic about Hype being that L1 token leading that next rally. But the fact of the matter is it's still in a downtrend. And I'm perfectly fine missing the bottom, perfectly fine with that. I'd rather wait for easy mode to come back than trying to be a hero and, just come in the middle of a bounce, right? Or close to the end of a bounce, as we've seen almost all of these bounces get retraced within a day or two. So, once again, I'm not short anything at all. And it is an environment where if you put on some leverage, either the long or the downside, whether you long or short, your stop loss gets hit with one single tweet, with one single event. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's been a really difficult component of this market, Wabi, is the headline risk, both up and down, mostly down recently, just where momentum has been.
Yeah.
But you're right, like Trump puts out a tweet and it just like, there's no such thing as a safe stop loss anymore. It's like the amount of people that got, forcefully taken out of positions when he announced the digital asset reserve, just for it to like immediately retrace the following day. Oh, that was one of the more predatory liquidation events that we've seen. For it to happen on a Sunday too,
And then
it's leverage
went
trader
back
death
up
right
again.
here. Even though the trend has been strong, Wabi, I think you're smart to be like, all right, look, I'm leaning bearish here, but I'm not shorting. I'd rather just wait to buy back in because of that headline risk, right?
Shorting crypto, the thing is, Max, in 2022, the trend to short was pretty simple. You either shorted around FOMC or around CPI. That was your meat of the move. Powell's going to hike rates. The moment he starts talking, just put on a short, close it in 2-3 days. Your UPNL is obscene. 2018, anytime BTC hit 10K, you short alts, and that's it. But in this environment, like, it's just really predatory, to be honest, really predatory. And like this downtrend or whatever, this downturn in the market, specifically in equities, could be fixed in the snap of a finger. Trump has his pulse on the market just as Powell did in 2022. All it takes is one day and things can revert quite extremely.
Let me ask you about that real quick, Wabi. Do you really think Trump is watching the markets that closely?
I do. He's gone on record to say, not during this administration, but during his previous administration with Mike Pence and who's that other guy? I forgot. He was the one that announced the stimulus check. Steve Mnuchin, him. It was Mnuchin, Pence, like that cabinet specifically. Trump would say that the measure of a presidency is how well the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ are doing, right?
So he was all over it last cycle. I remember the tweets where he'd be like, another new all-time high for the S&P, Trump economy strong, right? Yeah, we haven't really seen that this term yet.
So my dubious speculation, honestly, is that I think Trump wants to make his midterm year look good so you can have more people on his side. If you guys know, midterm years are absolutely horrific for markets, and they have been for almost 10 years, right? They were terrible in 22, they were horrible in 2016. 2014, I think it was like I'm pretty sure equity markets started charging like going after the midterm elections. I'm not exactly too sure, but for the most part, for the better half of the last 10 years of midterms haven't really been that great for markets. So I think that's kind of his plan. And honestly, like I think the narrative is already out there. Honestly, like Trump wants to bring markets down to refinance a debt that we have to pay off here in a couple of months. He wants to get I think the bond yields down so he can refinance our debt, and that narrative is already catching through. So, in my opinion, like if you see the S&P at 5,400, right around there, I think that's pretty much it. But as far as like alts and all that stuff, I mean, if you see ETH, and I said this in our previous show last week, and also in our Discord call, if you see ETH below 1,500, I think that's like deep value for buying spot ETH at that. But for alts, it's always going to be a different regime because they're so cyclical in attention, and the rotation game is strong, and that's why I really feel no FOMO in going too deep on anything right now. I'd rather just wait for easy mode, and that's fine. I'm not really trying to be a hero or anything, and I'd like to see the trend actually be super strong. Like for ETH, get above all those EMAs. Hey man, that's cool. Full bull.
Dude, this was looking so good right here. And then you remember what happened right here?
Kanye and his token.
No. This
He
was
really-
the
he released
Bybit
the token.
hack. This was the Bybit hack right
Yep.
there. Okay.
Ah,
It
That
was
was so
looking
fucked up.
it was looking actually decent.
I was tracking
Right.
that the whole
And
way.
then Bybit hack, boom. That's what happened. So
oh, that's a good observation. But honestly, like I think the max drawdown that you'd see on the X&P would probably be 5,100. To be honest, my dubious take is that below 5,000, there would be a massive margin call, just because of all the money that would be wiped out from the stock market. Like I think it would be like well over 10 trillion wiped out from the stock market if the S&P gets to like its previous all-time high at just below 4,800 from the top all the way down to like 4,800. That would be catastrophic, honestly. And I just don't think you're going to see drawdowns as you did in 2022 anymore on the indices. I think that was like your last huge drawdown, honestly, on indices specifically. So that's kind of how I'm viewing things. Hey, man, I'm glad the indices are getting a bump, to be frank. It was like 2 weeks of down only, and bear markets sometimes they have bounces. It's not just down only, and bull markets sometimes have dips. It's not up only, right? So I'm just waiting for easy mode, to be frank. And sometimes the best thing to do is to just be on your hands.
If there's one thing that unites everybody on this planet, if there is one thing where everybody's collective interests are perfectly aligned, it is that of the S&P 500 going up. Politicians, millionaires, billionaires, thousandaires, people with $5,000 in their Roth accounts, every single person is perfectly aligned in their interests. And I don't know if there's anything else like that. And I don't know if I entirely agree that we'll never have another like multi-year pullback like a 2022. I think it will happen at some point. But I agree with the notion or the insinuation of this is the most manipulated Ponzi of all time. And everybody on the planet's collective interests are perfectly aligned. And they don't let the thing naturally correct anymore. They manipulate it. Something goes wrong, they do something. Janet Yellen steps in. They do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Look at that thing, man. Wobby, what do you think about that chart?
it's
That's
the
insane.
original. It's the original Ohm. Honestly, sometimes I think to
is.
myself, like, if we were all trading in the late 90s, or probably more specifically during the Reagan administration, when tech really started to catch wind, and you were able to like trade Microsoft and Apple for like pennies on the dollar, I wonder how markets worked at that time, right? Like, did you have the edge? Would you have an edge as you have right now, right? Because if you're in crypto and you're super active on Twitter specifically, like really active on Twitter and Telegram, you probably have some sort of edge. But back then, decades ago, right, where you could experience crypto type gains within the equity markets in the 80s and the 90s, what was your edge, right? Like, or was it conference meetings or something like that, right? People went to Jordan Belfort's talks way back when. Like, what was the edge? But yeah,
Those
the
must have been
S&P.
wild, by the way. Totally
Yeah,
off topic, but like those must have just been something
yeah,
else to attend.
yeah.
Sell me this pen.
There's one guy that like we used to have on Spaces, Holder of the Fire, and like this individual, he worked in Wall Street in the late 90s, and before they would ring the bell, like the head of the brokerage, the head of the firm, not brokerage, the head of the firm would call up all the guys and give some epic war speech and get all the guys riled up, and everyone would like be on the phone and all that stuff. It was very much like, have you guys seen the Boiler Room movie with Vin Diesel?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
That was
I like Boiler
insane.
Room. I like Boiler Room a bit more than Wall Street, to be honest.
What
Just
about
because
yeah.
movies. Yeah, because
Have you ever seen
Boiler.
Sharknado 2?
I have not. What is
Yeah.
that?
Tucker has.
I have, yes.
Sharknado.
Yeah.
Oh no!
You
Are you talking about like the
I'm
like
talking about
what was that?
Sharknado 2.
Tornadoes, but with
Wobby,
sharks in
don't
it.
Yes,
tell me you're this
like the
uncultured,
sci-fi
Wobby.
channel, right? Like the sharks that fly and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean they don't fly. They're being propelled in the air by the force of the wind.
Yeah.
Goodness.
They don't have
Yeah.
wings or something.
I hope this is a Sharknado market. Like, I would love nothing more than for this market to absolutely rage pump and then Wabi misses the bottom. I would love that. And then everyone just blows up and says, haha, Wabi missed the bottom. Yeah, we're so back. I will gladly be the example made to point at. I'm perfectly fine with that. I hope that happens. I really do. But you gotta love these markets. But man, the S&P is a total beast, honestly.
Dude, it's the
a
greatest
total
Ponzi to
beast.
ever be invented, man. It's the Ponzi of all Ponzis, man. It's like, it's the original. It's the OG, man. And you have to have respect for it, They did it.
Yeah,
They're like, what if we just all made ourselves super rich? And then everyone was like, fine with me. I see no problem with this, We'll
it's
just uncollateralize our money, print it whenever we want, and then we'll do this thing where we basically just start buying, like T-bills and mortgage-backed securities from banks and just flooding the banks with cash. And then the banks will lower interest rates, and then the banks will be more inclined to loan money to clients and their customers. And then those customers are gambling addicts. And they're just going to go buy the S&P. It's just this flywheel Ponzi. It's beautiful, man. I mean, they figured the whole thing out perfectly. And it's never going to end. They're just going to keep doing it over and over and over again.
I think that's like a good way to also view Bitcoin, on how like these younger boomers view BTC. Like, oh, we have this other asset that goes up a bit more while the S&P is going up, and it's tech. Let me shill it. That's why I consider BTC a completely different asset than a lot of these alts. And I do think like later on this decade, there's probably going to be some altcoin I'm not sure if it's going to be ETH. I'm not sure if it's going to be Sol. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a basket of alts, which is something that I'm leaning towards, like an IWM of sorts, a basket of stuff with a yield component, like a big yield component at that, like a mixture of yield components. I think there's going to be a product like that in the next like 2 years, probably like when rates come down a bit more. I think yield products are going to be huge in TradFi. And I think that's when you'll see like the ETH ETF increase in flows.
I
And
mean, yield
Sol
products
probably
are yield products are a huge part of TradFi
yeah.
right now, man. Like they love their dividends, man. They love the auto dividend reinvest feature, right?
Mhm.
Oh, there's nothing that gets the boomer mind more excited than a little dividend reinvest feature, right? So
Yeah.
I think if there's anything that can lure them into crypto, it's going to be that component attached to something that is cheaper than Bitcoin, right? They don't know what it does. They're not going to care what it does. It's just a yield. It's just another product that, oh, I own some crypto. Oh, and it gives me a dividend. Okay. It can be literally that simple. They never need to custody it. They never need to use a DEX. They never need to make a swap. They don't need to understand what it does. They don't care. They don't care. They don't know what the companies that they own are. They have no clue. They own
That's
ETFs is what they own. They own ETFs. They don't even know what's in the ETFs. Oh, I'm diversified. That's all that they know. And they're going to do the same thing with something like ETH. And guess what else? Kathy Wood is definitely going to launch some crypto product that has a yield. It's going to have like ETH and Sol. Both are going to have staking components to it. And it's going to have like Doge in there. It's going to have Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, Doge, XRP, ADA, a bunch of random crap. It's going to have like 20 different tickers, and it's going to give you like a 3% APY yield on it adjusted. And they're going to eat it up because they're diversified in crypto and they get a little bit of a dividend. That's when we're going to have a crazy super cycle, is when a product like that hits legacy. Because, oh, it's such an easy sell. You know, some wealth managers goes, yeah, it's basically the S&P 500, but of crypto. Oh, and you get a 3% dividend on it too. They're going to be like, done, sign me up. 2% of my portfolio is going right in that.
I think the Fed is projected to cut like 3 times this year. So I think at the end of that cutting cycle, I think that's when you'll probably have a product like that, honestly. And I think it'll serve as a good tailwind for midterms. That's how I'm viewing like the second half of the year. First half of the year seems a bit choppy unless like we have FOMC next week and they announce QT. Like that is your white swan.
Well, why would they announce QT if we're already in QT?
No, the end of QT. I'm sorry.
Oh,
The end of
okay.
QT.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think they're going to announce.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not going to like double
yeah.
down on it.
Oh my gosh, someone is gonna,
speeding up the sale of our asset.
yeah. Someone is gonna clip that for sure. Someone's gonna clip that for sure. But yeah, I think that's probably your white swan. Like once the Fed actually stops quantitative tightening, which has been going on for almost 3 years now. So you have that. We basically go back to a neutral state. And I think you can have a pretty massive squeeze. And last year we had multiple squeezes to the upper range to the point where we all thought BTC was going to make an all-time high, right? There were multiple times from April of last year all the way until late July where Sol was pressing against 200. ETH was ETH was pressing up against 37,800. And BTC was pressing up against 70K, 71K. And we would always kind of make these like lower lows every like 2 months or so. But am I expecting that? I don't really know. 2024 was a very strange year from March to July. That was actually painful. I'd rather the Band-Aid get like ripped off, honestly. So I mean, Tucker, when you were going over the equity markets on your chart, those EMAs that you pulled up, that second level, I think you had it up on the weekly, where support is 5,400. That's exactly where we bottomed last year during like some of these major local bottoms. So
Wabi, as an EMA respecter,
yes, sir.
I mean, look at this chart, right? Like, you can't
Yeah.
deny.
BTC can still look good even if it has like a flash to like 52K. It can still look. We can still be in a bull market for BTC.
Yeah,
look
but
at
here's
other.
I'm not expecting that. I'm not expecting that.
Look,
Like,
I don't
look,
mean
look.
to.
Look,
I don't
look,
think we can
look.
go 52K, Wabi. I think we're fried at that point. But
Yeah.
agree to disagree. Tucker, pull up others for me, brother. We need to look at this real quick.
All right,
Okay.
all right. But real quick, every time we hit the first EMA on the monthly, that's it. Boom, 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 boom. We didn't even touch it here, but okay, here we go. All right.
Others. Take off the EMA bands. We don't need them.
You want log?
You don't need it. We're just going to look at something locally. That's fine. Let's go to the daily. Okay. Do me a favor. Draw a trend line across the highs there. Okay. Now, can you get rid of your line for me that you have right there, the horizontal? All right.
That's price, yeah.
Oh, that's price. Oh,
Yeah.
you track the price with the line. Okay.
Wait, do you not have the line on yours?
No, I don't have the line on mine. I don't need the line on mine.
Wait, how do you turn off the line?
Right click on your axis, on your Y axis,
On my
and then lines at the bottom. Price line.
whoa.
Done. It's out. It's gone. Draw me a range, Tucker, please, from the wick low that we set early February. Right there. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. And then do this real quick. See the November low? November low before the Trump pump. Before the Trump pump.
Yeah. That one?
No. November.
That's November.
No, the low. Sorry, the low.
It's, oh,
That
all the
right
way
there.
back here.
Draw me a mega demand on that little order block down there. Draw me a mega demand.
Yeah.
Tucker, what was that word that Max just said?
I'm not going to say it, Bobby. I'm not going to say it.
Why?
Because he'll owe me a dividend.
Brother, yeah.
I have a royalty to that word. Every time you say it, you owe me 10 cents. Look at that. Oh my. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we could get a little squeezy here. We could. Get a little squeezy.
You could.
Line make bounce. What's the high? Like a high time frame on this, like the weekly. Stair stepping.
Hey, Farcoin is up 30%.
Is Farcoin the new premier risk on indicator of this market?
Well, not 30%. I mean, it's up like 30-ish% from the low. Well, I mean, Farcoin did lead the broader market along with AI16Z from early December when we topped on BTC and ETH. Farcoin and AI16Z both went to like 2.5 bill market cap while most things bled out. And that's something that me and Donnie were talking about throughout that time frame. And I think if you're bullish on memes coming back, I would actually consider a Farcoin to be like a Shiba Inu. If memes come back.
I'm just going to say this. I won't expand on it too much right now, but based Fartcoin has been pair trading and outperforming literally everything in the entire market.
Yes, it has.
If you've taken a chance to look at it, like all of its pairs, unbelievable, man. Like unbelievable strength. I think something's going on there. Something's brewing there.
Maybe a Coinbase listing or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Pure speculation. But
he's a speculator.
Doesn't even need it, but it's been holding up very well.
I mean, I think part of the reason it has been holding up so well is because it's not listed on any centralized exchanges yet.
Yeah. It's the secret power.
Everyone's like, when exchange listing? When? it needs to be listed on all these junky bucket shop
They
exchanges.
ruin everything.
And then they just dump all their shit that they get for free, you know. The ultimate KOLs, man.
Have you noticed that Coinbase has been delisting tokens recently?
I saw that. I wonder
Mhm.
why that is. I didn't read into it too much.
Giga, Floki,
Yeah.
Turbo.
They've been delisting and also adding,
Yeah,
which
I
is the
saw that.
weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like they're delisting stuff and they're adding memes on base for the first time onto their stuff. But I do think Coinbase actually like needs more things rather than just like memes, because they were listing a lot of trash in Q4 of last year. And now they're getting delisted. Like Floki's a boomer meme. Why list that? All that attention was from last cycle. That was all like doggy attention. And that all ended in Q1 of last year with Whiff. I don't even think Whiff made an all-time high going into that Robinhood listing. I think it actually made like a complacency high, like just below its previous all-time high. It did get within like 10 to 20% though, I think.
Louis, let me see your ETH chart, brother.
Uh-oh.
Who, me?
What kind of chart did you just say, Tucker?
ETH.
All right, guys.
Max had to run. He had a call, I think, but
Okay. Yeah, well, I got a couple ETH charts. You guys know me. I like to look at things multiple different ways.
Oh, by the way, Farcoin is actually up 50% from its low. Farcoin on Sol bottomed out on the 10th. Now it's up a little over 50%. And I mean, it looks like it could actually set its first, I guess, local higher high here on the hourly. So you kind of want to see some of these lower time frames start to flip bullish first before anything. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Louis. Go ahead, man.
No, you're good. You're good.
Tucker, what's that PFP that you have, brother, when you turn off your camera? Is that Hank?
It's a little bear.
Yeah, his name is
Hank the Bear.
Hank the Tank.
Hank the Tank.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is how I've been looking at ETH for a while now. I should probably turn this black. Make it the same size as the range. But yeah, I mean, this is the area we're in, right? It's pretty much we're sitting on top of your bear market base support, right? Like this was where we entered the bear market lows back in 2022. We put it about a year and a half, almost 2 years down here before eventually rallying out of the bear market, right? So this is a critical level, right? The level we're in now for ETH, because of what it represents. One, massive market structure, obviously, but two, this represents your reaccumulation in your bear market, right? So if ETH were to come lower, start losing this support, start trading down in here, right? Do you see something like this? You start rolling over. ETH is now re-entering its bear market levels, right? Seen a couple years ago. And which is why I've been saying that I don't and I can't see ETH coming lower than probably 1,700 without being at risk of re-entering, a bear market, right? Literally. And you could even still see it happen with ETH sitting at 1,700, right? So what my base case has been and what I've been telling our guys is we need to see a big reaction out of this level, right? And while we were up here, I was saying, if we are to come down into this bear market base, it needs to be a quick move. It needs to get bought up quickly. We need to get back inside and start reclaiming levels. This needs to be a big trap. And ultimately, we need to move back to the upside relatively quicker because the longer we trade down here, the more risk we are of getting price acceptance back below this massive range, back inside our bear market, levels. And more likely we are going to see a longer term reaccumulation, some sort of bear market for ETH, right? So this is the do or die level. It's put up or shut up, right? And so far, I mean, we've been doing okay, right? We've been doing okay. The last 2-day candle, which closed a couple days ago, is a good start, right? Right. This was your 2-day candle. We came all the way down almost to the bottom end of this bear market base support. You got nice buyback, right? You got a nice big wick to the downside. And this is a 2-day weekly doji candle where, these candlesticks have some power behind it because it's a higher time frame, right? So a doji like this, where it's kind of like closes where the price opened, went up, went down, wicks to both sides. That's a pause in momentum candle, right? That's a pausing candle or early signs of a reversal. So this was great. The last 2-day candle kind of just saw a little, follow through continuation into this wick. But, as long as this wick low is respected, right? We're okay, right? And we're all right. But I'm expecting, and what we need to see, right, is to start to see us push back to the upside. So we're seeing little glimmers of that this morning. Again, it's great to see, but it more or less depends on where we end up and where we land, right? So what we want to see is obviously 2K is a big level we want to see reclaimed, right? 2K is a start, but our real reclaim that, would give more confirmation that this was one massive bear trap would be a reclaim of this range, right? Reclaim of 2,300 puts us back inside this massive range we've been putting in for the last 2 years. This was ultimately a trap. This whole schematic was just a couple year long reaccumulation schematic. We're back inside our range. And once we get back above 2,300, price acceptance above here, that's the green light where we're probably going to start heading back to range highs and pretty quickly, right? These when you lose a range like this and you get back inside, these moves back to the upside of range highs are not very forgiving to people that panic sell or short down here. It's the exact opposite. They kind of use that as fuel to see a quicker move back to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for, right? So seeing signs of that today, but not much yet, right? We need this low that we put in back on March 10th to be the low, right? This was our deep plunge into this level. And now we, moving into the end of the week at a minimum or early next week, we got to see some flip in momentum. We got to see some bullish price action back to the upside. And sure, we could expect some early rejections at range lows, right? We can definitely expect that. That would make sense. But what we would want to see is continued attempts getting back inside the range, making some higher highs, maybe put in some structure like this. And eventually you make enough attempts at range lows, you're going to pop this to the upside. So I could see something like this playing out, or I could just see a vicious, unforgiving type, spring back to the upside. Maybe you come all the way back close to the mid-range, then maybe you come here and then you start a climb, something like that. But I'm looking for the reversal, right? And, the question earlier in the show is, do you trust this move? Well, yeah, I trust the move, but only up until we get up in these levels, and then we see what this move is actually all about, whether it's, just a mean reversion bounce or this is the real deal. So that's what I'm watching for, right? But this is the area that we should, be expecting to see a move out of ETH if it's not, in fact, dead.
I think we would also have to look at the NASDAQ as well, going above like 20,000. That would take us to our previous range as well. We're so tied up during choppy conditions to the McNASDAQ. I call it the McNazzy, if you remember 2022. I think if equities catch some sort of breadth, and that was actually the bottom, then crypto is going to rip like crazy. If that was at the actual bottom and most of the damage is already done in the equity markets, the first thing you want to see lead for like some crypto signal would be the McNASDAQ. And then you'll see the French fry pattern happen on alts. If anyone here has ever put fries in the bag, French fries go up, right? French fries are good.
Jesus Christ, Bobby.
Yeah. Now, what you don't want is for ketchup to be included in the bag. You don't want ketchup to be mixed in with those fries. But either way, like the NASDAQ, I think is like some pretty strong signal for the broader space. And of course, right, like when things are in a bearish momentum, people have crazy price targets. I'm one of those people. If things go absolutely bullish, everybody has obscene price targets. I'm one of those people, right? In December, what was the narrative? World Liberty Fi is buying. Your targets are too low. Like, what's wrong with you? If you're even cautious here, you're stupid, right? And it's always going to be filled with animal spirits, right? Like anybody that comes on and says, "Oh, I know exactly what the market is going to do," is a LARP, right?
Be wary of those people, right?
Yeah,
Even us, right? If someone says they know exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, just stay away from those people at all costs.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that honestly flourish during easy mode, right? Like if you have ultimate edge and you know exactly what markets are going to do, you for sure would not be in a YouTube comment section on a Friday morning trying to troll. Yeah. That's the first. That's the first thing. You wouldn't be on Twitter trying to troll at all whatsoever. You'd probably be like on an island somewhere or in some part of Asia or Dubai or something like that, right? In Italy, sipping on some wine, right? So,
what are your thoughts on this, Bobby?
I would honestly rather things be extremely bullish how they were in October, November, and December, going off of a narrative where it's more PVE instead of like this crap what we're experiencing, right? And as far as the pattern that you pulled up, Louis, I hope it happens, man. Even if I'm bearish, even if I'm cautious or whatever, it's more so capital preservation more than anything. I hope it happens, man. I hope it happens because if that pattern happens and IWM makes 24-month highs, there's going to be like 20 new on-chain gems and probably like a batch of these new tickers, right? Like maybe base Farcoin or something like that. And they go to like hundreds of millions. Hey, man, I'll print on chain. I'm totally fine.
There's going to be a lot of catch-up trades to be made on chain for sure.
And that's ultimately where like edge has been.
That's where you thrive for sure.
Yeah, that's predominantly where most people have edge, right? Catching like on-chain tickers, and there's always going to be some on-chain ticker, right, to prosper off of no matter the market conditions. But right now it's just a bit harder, right? The pool is a lot smaller, and I recognize that, man. I'm not perfect. I'm not a genius or anything like that. But as far as that pattern goes, I mean, if the NASDAQ recovers from here and goes above 20,000 again and starts climbing to its yearly open and flips green, then we could have some positive price action to the upside.
I mean, I'll tell you what, if they actually pull this thing off and this actually plays, like this is probably one of like the biggest like bear traps I've ever seen. Like even like, you know, been following this. This is something that I've been watching for a couple weeks now. And obviously the Discord has had this for weeks, you know, this idea that the last, you know, pretty much year and a half or year and couple months has just been a massive reaccumulation of ETH by big institutions and big money, you know, via the ETF, the ETH ETFs. You know, it's going to be, if they do actually pull this off and this is actually what's happening, you know, it's pretty crazy, right? For this, if this actually plays. I mean, you can't deny the similarities. That's for sure. As far as these Wyckoff schematics go, and where these schematics come from, right? It's not like someone just makes these up and draws them and puts them out on the internet. Like these schematics have been kind of, you know, documented and put in textbooks and stuff like that through years and years and years of back testing the stock market, you know, in the mid to early 90s, right? And, you know, just multiple times of how price action moves and ways that, you know, big money, big institutions, the big players utilize price action and charts to, accumulate as much as they can at the best price, right? At the best price. And that's where these schematics come from. And it makes sense that we're seeing something like this. Why? Because we have the ETH ETFs now, right? Bitcoin has been a great product. The ETFs, they've done their accumulating with Bitcoin. That they're rallying. They're letting that move flourish. But ETH is next on the menu, right? And I don't believe that they're just going to sit there and look at the ETH ETF and be like, nah, we're just good with Bitcoin. We don't care about having any more exposure to the crypto asset class as a whole, right? I just don't believe that's a scenario. I think it's the exact opposite. I think, damn, like Bitcoin is the real deal. Crypto is not going anywhere. We have this ETH ETF that's here. Let's do our best to accumulate this at the best prices possible. And that's kind of what we're seeing here as far as visuals. But it's just been a long, long time, right? Like if you've been here for the last year and a half trying to catch the move on ETH, it's been grueling, right? It's not supposed to be fun.
We haven't, brother.
Well, you have, right? But most people have. And
I don't know.
It's been grueling, right? But that's what it's supposed to feel like if this is in fact just a massive reaccumulation, right? They need people to get excited up here and panic sell down here. They need people to get excited up here and panic sell down here. Why? Because this is where they're buying, right? Down here. And they're selling some up here to initiate these moves, right? Selling here. But they're not selling all, right? They're buying here, sell some here. Accumulate here, sell some here, start the move.
I think
right into your buys, right? This is what it looks like. And for the average retail investor that doesn't really know what's going on or thinking in terms of multiple years, where most people think in days and weeks, these guys think in years, right? Like this is a move, like a scenario where this is gearing up for a multi-year long or at least a year-long uptrend rally, right? Like you don't do a reaccumulation if this is what this is for a year and a half just to go on a run for 3 months. No. You do a reaccumulation like this because they're thinking in years, like 2-3 years down the line, where is this asset going to be? And ultimately, I think it's higher, right? So that's kind of how, and the idea behind this example I'm showing.
Yeah, I think that's such an important piece that Louis just touched on, is the short-sightedness of the market that we see time and time and time again from investors across the board, and not only crypto, but in all asset classes, right? And we are so focused on, the nearest, closest, hottest narrative, and everybody's just kind of wanting to jump on whatever bandwagon is occurring that, whatever headline that they saw over the last 5 minutes. And so from a long-term time horizon, what we're seeing from not only like from a legislative standpoint is they're setting the stage for something big. And that in and of itself should bring light to people where it's like you might have some short-term pain on some of your trades and some of your bags, but it's like, okay, if they're setting it up where they're I think they like reverted the legislation that they're doing against DeFi. We know what happened with, Trump, supposedly Trump tweeting about, XRP and ADA and then there's Aave. They're setting the stage up for this asset class to be to dominate the financial sector as a whole in the entire world. That's what they're doing right now. And they're wanting to lay the groundwork. And like Louis said, they're wanting to get position and they're wanting to get ahead of the liquidity and ahead of the capital that is going to flow in, that this sector is going to bring to the overall broader markets, over the next, 5 to 10 plus years. Because as we know, like, from what from a comparison standpoint, 2017 and 2021 were like, email just got, invented, right? Everybody's just figuring out like how email works, and what it is and why it's important. And I can, message people on the internet, right? This is kind of cool. Now, what we're seeing in this cycle is more the utility, early 2000s kind of tech boom where people are actually kind of figuring out how we can integrate it into society and into the financial construct and infrastructure. And so as we move forward, you're going to see the projects that actually have some like real deal utility case be like the Amazons and be like the Microsofts and be, you know, the bigger players over the next 10 years. Like what I think is like who's going to do very, very, very well. From what I can tell, it's going to be like an Aave, a lending protocol. There's going to be, some lending protocol that, comes out on top that everybody uses, that the big financial institutions go to, right? You're going to see players like XRP do very, very, very well that are going to revolutionize the payment rails. Truly, it's been a meme over the past 4 to 5 years of XRP. Oh, uh, quadrillion dollars gets exchanged on the current payment rails, and XRP is going to do it. Well, they are going to do it because, as we know, BlackRock has talked about several times about opening up an exchange in Texas, I believe, and having it be entirely digitized, right? Because the New York
24-hour
stock,
trading.
yeah, exactly. Because the New York Stock Exchange is becoming obsolete,
Yeah.
right? They are realizing that the traditional financial marketplace and infrastructure is becoming obsolete, right? They understand that, and what they're trying to do, in my opinion, is slow everything down a little bit because crypto moves a lot faster than how these big players can essentially move, right? And they don't want things to get too far ahead of them to where they have to play this massive catch-up trade.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not what they want
They
to do.
don't buy high.
No, they
You think they're
are.
gonna buy our bags high?
Yeah, no. You think
No.
BlackRock wants to, 5% ownership? No, if you go into any company in the world, there are basically any United States-based company, and you look at institutional ownership, BlackRock is the number one on the list for every single company that you look at. And they own minimum 10% of every single company. It's insanity. You think that they want 1% of Bitcoin? You think they want 1% of Ethereum? No, they want a big, big, big piece of the pie. And so if you have a long-term time horizon, a long-term outlook on these markets, and you ignore that short-term, those like short-term kind of gotcha headliners, then you're gonna do well. You're gonna do well. It's just a matter of time where they are coming for a big, big, big piece of the pie, and they're coming for pieces that they're gonna be able to integrate across the board.
Well said, Prometheus.
Well
Yeah.
said.
What do you guys think of the coin chart? I think if we're bullish, just alts in general, and we want majors to lead, right, on alts, I think coin is a pretty important chart.
Send it to
Watch out for it.
$1,500, and then you get a stock split. I'm dead serious. Study the Microsoft chart, bro. Study the Microsoft chart. That's what
I
coin
think they
is going to
should
do.
do a stock split like the moment they start cutting rates again. Like I think the next time they cut rates or they end the end of QT, I think you just drop any cautious or bearish thesis that you might have. And I'm cautious as can be. Cautious as can be. I think it's just like off to the races at that point, and I'm probably just gonna buy some AI shitters.
Bro,
and
Wabi, I want to give props where props is deserved, bro. You freaking killed it over this past, 3 to 6 months, man. You really did a great job of rotating out of bags, rotating first of all in the AI trade, because I hear a lot of people, oh, Wabi's so bearish. Well, Wabi has done the right thing. He's made the good trade, the smart trade, right? You preserved your capital, brother. And, you went from the AI sector trading those tickers, hitting banger after banger after banger, AI 16Z. There was like virtuals. There was a handful of other tickers in there that you absolutely hammered out of the park. Yeah,
Cerebro
Cerebro
was fucking massive, dude.
And then, when we had that substantial pullback, I think ETH was at like 2,900. You were like, dude, I'm out. Like this doesn't look good. And
For AI, man, that was like when ETH was at 3,700. If you remember,
yeah, bro.
Dorito pulled out that tweet, and it's like, yeah, AI is just like done for. Like I think like going into the inauguration, I remember we were playing Pippin. Like it was like the first week of January going to the second week. Pippin was like one of the last ones that really pumped, along with Ava, and they both went to like 300, 400 mil. Those are kind of like the last trades, along with two others that went close to 100. But I remember we were on a Discord call, and I'm like, guys, I think it's becoming a bit saturated because this AI trade is now consensus, and we're all trading the same tickers. And after the election, it was like, all right, hype is the only thing that could potentially go nuts. And then when we got to that level, Prometheus, that you're talking about, 2,900, 3,000, right around there, Kanye started talking about crypto, and it was like, all right, it's over. But yeah, I really don't want this to turn into like a glazing session, but Cerebro is kind of a funny story, honestly, because it was a ticker that like a lot of people knew about at like 5 mil to 15 mil market cap if you were trading AI. And I remember it kind of blew up overnight. Honestly, it went from like 10 mil, 15 mil, all the way to like 300 for a while, consolidated for a month, blew up to like 800 mil, 900 mil market cap. And then when the entire market started correcting heavily, that is when like everyone starts to nitpick all the altcoins that people were bullish about, right? Like altcoins across the board are down 80, 90%, 95%, some even 98%, right? But I think it's because of the name, right? Like the memeability of the name Cerebro. It means
I thought it was zero.
like brain. No, that's how Frank Digaz pronounces it. He says zero, bro. People say zero, bro, but it's actually pronounced cerebro, like mind. In Spanish, you pronounce it cerebro. So that's how. Yeah, it means like mind, like intellect, right? And that's where I guess the memeability comes from. But I mean, just take a look at GOAT, dude. Dude, GOAT went from like 1.5 bill and it crashed. A slow crash.
GOAT's chart is disgusting. It is so
horrible.
bad.
It's horrible. But the thing is, right, like they changed the world for a short amount of time. Like Luna changed the world for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. So
you see this comment? I don't even know what that dude looks like, honestly.
Yeah, who is that?
Wait, let me find it. Let me find a picture of the guy.
Is that the guy that jumped out the plane? I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
like
bro.
escaped and nobody ever found him again.
Oh, yeah, he's kind of right. Hang on.
Dude, me, Tucker and Prometheus went. Me, Tucker and Prometheus went on a Goonbox video session when GOAT was at 15 mil, and Tucker was like, "You guys need to buy Goatius Maximus now." And then like in 2 days, it pumped to 300 mil or something like that.
Yeah, I saw it at 1.6 mil. We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, if we truly are going to be back in a bull market,
look.
So this guy hijacked a plane and like
he stole all this cash out of this plane. They were like transporting this safe or something, and he like hijacked the money and jumped out of it.
That's hilarious, bro.
I see it.
Wabi, you're saying? We interrupted you, brother.
I lost my train of thought, but I think what I was saying is like, if you want any indicator that we're in a bull market, you need to be coping. You need to be coping that you missed this ticker that you saw on Deck Screener at 1 mil and you wake up and it's at 100 mil. You need to have that happen over and over and over again. You guys remember Q4 of last year? Top Hat, Ray, AIXBT. I can keep on pumping tickers, man. Where we would see these tickers and we would have to buy them when they were up like 50%, 100% on the day. You know,
Bro, I
we
texted
have
you
to
guys
be-
about a ticker. I texted you guys about something the other night, boys.
Oh, on base? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where? I didn't get
Whatever, brother. I hope that happens. I hope it continues to happen. Like I missed.
Louis, I'll send it to you. It's money,
Damn.
money.
when you find
Yeah.
out you're not in the group chat.
No, I messaged him individually. I was like,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I missed Puys on Soul. That thing went to like 70 mil or something like that.
Dude, just saying the name please is insane.
What, dude? It's not even a micro cap, but
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's funny. Like,
oh yeah, the JD Vance meme. It's memeable.
yeah.
I'm just glad we're not trading shit coins on Caspa or like runes on
Dude,
BTC.
somebody asked for Caspa. Actually, that's a good.
Caspa's been strong off the lows, man. I think it's going to do very well.
Captain Caspa, remember that arc, Tucker? If you guys don't
Captain
remember,
Caspa.
Tucker was a Caspa maxi.
No,
2023.
I was not, bro. No, this is here. I'll show
Tucker
you
was-
on the chart.
dude, Cass was a great trade for like all of us.
Look,
Yeah,
Max
in
and I both.
2023,
Look
it
at
was
this, look at this.
awesome.
Max and I both did this. We bought and sold here, and then I don't know. Maybe he held some. I bought some back here and sold it here or something. But what is that noise? Turn that off.
Someone was calling for whatever reason without texting first.
Was that your ringtone, Wobby?
No, my ringtone is like
What are you talking about? It's not your ringtone.
That
Somebody
was
was
definitely
calling.
your ringtone. Yeah. What do you mean?
no, that's my like notification that someone's calling me. It's not my ringtone.
That's a Wobby.
Your ringtone is what wakes you up, dude.
No, that's
That's
your
your
alarm.
alarm.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh man.
Your ringtone is what wakes you up.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah.
That looks like a full BART pattern, dude. Hey, Bear, I hope Caspa's bottomed. Like, I hope Caspa goes to $1 or something. Like, we need more like utility tokens going crazy. Like, you need that. We can't have just memes, dude. You can't have just vaporware AI and memes going up. You need L1 tokens. Like, no matter if you're a meme maxi, no matter if you're an AI maxi, like, bro, in Q3 of last year, I was trading, like, after that little dumpski, I was trading Sol DeFi, believe it or not, and things like Sigma and Lock In. And then within a month or two, we were trading AI vaporware, dude. And like, you have to go where the hype is. You have to go where the trend is. Like, the market does not care about what you want to see in it. The market only cares if you're willing to use any edge that you develop and obey the market trend. Like, if the market's telling you, hey, AI is coming back, then you have to develop some sort of edge and flow into that. And if AI doesn't come back and it ends up being RWAs, develop some edge over there. Start talking to people that actually are well into that sector. And I have my tickers lined up, man. I have my tickers ready to go.
KTA.
Say what? Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's just other ticker too, which I think is Ondo. This new ticker that came out like last week or earlier this week. I think it came out like earlier last week, honestly, like last weekend. It's printing the same exact pattern that Ondo did when it was trading on chain at like 15 cents and it didn't move for a bit. But I'm not mentioning the ticker, man. I am not going to mention tickers.
Right here. It's going to work. It's going to take a minute, but it's going to work. It's way.
There is also a XBT Gengar in our Discord. He's been posting this, but there's a 12-hour bearish divergence on USDT dominance right now, and we just rejected from that downward sloping trend line as well.
Let's see.
I like that fractal.
It's a nice fractal right there.
I think it's
I
going
mean,
to help.
it looks a lot like Bitcoin. Like
Dude, looking
right
at that
here.
Casper chart, that is like textbook distribution. Like it does
Yeah.
not get more clean than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, but it's about that time, guys. So, Louis, will you give us the outro while I poke around the terminal?
Yeah, of course. Well, that wraps it up for another episode of Market Check, guys. If you like the content shared, and maybe you want to get a little more out of the BB team and our analysts, obviously we have our Discord services. Join us in the Discord for literally daily, twice a day, voice calls for with all of the analysts on the team, constantly going over day to day market insights, what we're buying, what we're selling, what we think is going to happen, and those calls go on for hours. And as well as you guys have the opportunity to ask questions, and we go back and forth with the Discord members. Also you have access to every single one of the analysts' personal channel, whether talking about our plays, talking about what we're doing, right, what we're doing in the markets, as well as the community, right? We have multiple different community chats, and you can engage and socialize and discuss ideas about the markets, which are crypto, which there's always something to talk about when it comes to crypto. Yes. Also, we have BB Terminal, right? Your one-stop shop for everything crypto related. If you're a crypto trader or investor, you should know by now that there are many different websites, apps, and stuff, and everything's kind of scattered all over the place. Well, BB Terminal kind of took all of that, those different apps and websites, and put it all into one place, right? You have your charting capabilities, you have your indicators, you have your liquidation heat maps, you have spaghetti maps, you have portfolio trackers from hundreds and hundreds of different wallets out there in crypto. All can be tracked in one place, right? And it's certainly less than $100 a month, guys. If you put everything together, all the different services you're likely using for crypto, I guarantee you it's well over $100 a month. So this is a one-stop shop to do all that as a crypto investor, and they're going to continue to add features to this. And I believe one day we're going to be able to have it so you can trade directly on the terminal. So you can literally do everything from this terminal, all your analytics, all your analysis, all of your portfolio tracking, all done in one stop shop, right? So that's BB Terminal. And let's just say you're too busy, to bother with being a Discord member or using the terminal yourself. You're a busy person. You have a 9-to-5. You own a business, and you don't have the time to do all of that. Well, we have BB Wealth Management, a SEC registered hedge fund, where we do the trading and investing for you, for accredited investors only. We are a long short hedge fund, so we can gain exposure to the outsized returns that crypto has historically given, while at the same time managing downside as well, right? So if you're interested in investing, but you don't want to do it yourself, we do have the hedge fund that is managed by a lot of us here on the BB team. So that is about it for our offerings. It was a great show. Glad to see some green across the board here, seeing some relief in the markets to close out the week. So we'll see you back next week on Monday. Until then, everyone have a great day, and see you later. Peace.